DreAllDay.com.
Today's topic, we are talking about the 3 socially accepted black men. Now, it has long been an issue in the black community that we tend to condition our young men to aspire to a narrow range of careers such as things that we consider to be viable career opportunities for our young men. Now, again, this doesn't apply to all men, of course, but any of you who knows, you're going to know what I say. Today, what I'm going to describe are some of those opportunities, why they are in these narrow ranges, what they are, why they're in these narrow ranges, and why we tend to have so many young men, including myself, all right, seeing these as our best possible avenues. And also, we're going to talk about why the powers that be, whomever you think that is, why those powers that be who are not black males tend to promote and push the same narrow range of opportunities on us. And not that I'm even putting the onus on them, because the follow-up to that is why we accept it. All right, we're going to talk about all of that here today. So let's get to it. Point number 1. Topic again today is the 3 socially accepted black men. Number 1 is the athlete. Now, again, I told you, myself is included in this description that I'm given, because I spent many years as a professional athlete, and I spent many years before I became a professional athlete trying to become a professional athlete, because I saw this as a career possibility for myself. Now, in my defense, I did not see this as my only career possibility, and as a matter of fact, there was no guarantee that I would even be able to make this possibility happen. But I was lucky enough and determined enough to make it happen. But there are a lot of young black men in the communities that we come from who see this as their only possible opportunity. And that's really what I mean. Everybody knows what an athlete is, right? These are the people who are either in or trying to make it to the NBA or the NFL. Mostly I'm talking about those who are trying to get there, who are not quite there yet. And in the black community, these tend to be the main places that a lot of young men want to go, as those are the main sports that get played in our neighborhoods. Those are the sports that are most publicly known for making athletes rich, football and basketball. And one reason why it works to push people towards this is because making it to the NBA or the NFL is a lottery ticket. That's what it is. If you're growing up in the hood, generally, if you're poor or you have a broke family background of people who just don't have money, and then you make it to the NBA, well, you have become rich literally overnight. You could change the trajectory of where your family is going, at least during your generation, literally overnight, with all the money that you can make from your job as an athlete. So I completely understand why many people aim for becoming professional athletes, just because of that alone. At the same time, it is a lottery ticket. So on one hand, it's a lottery ticket in that if you win, look at all the money that you can make and how quickly you can change your situation just by getting into the league, just by getting drafted and signing your first contract. Even if you end up being a complete fucking bum in the league, you can still make a whole bunch of money. At the same time, the flip side is it is still a lottery ticket. If any of you has ever played the lottery, you understand the odds that most of the time you don't win. Most people who play the lottery end up losing. You invest some money that does not come back to you. Some money that is my economics professor in college, one of the few things I remember him saying is that there is no such thing as a free lunch. And he talked about supply and demand. And we talked about the laws of economics. I told you about those. And another thing I remember him saying is that the lottery is a tax on the stupid. What does that mean? It is a tax that stupid people pay to play a game in which they have some reason to believe that they are going to get a whole bunch of something for nothing. And it's a tax that you pay for being stupid enough to think that that would actually happen. That's what the lottery is. It is a tax on the stupid. Most people who play the lottery, again, they don't win. They just give a donation to the people who are smart enough to come up with the idea of the lottery. And even those who play the lottery and win often end up broke all over again within a few short years. If any of you has read up or heard any stories of these, this happens often. And you see this same parallel in the sports world, because becoming a professional athlete is like hitting the lottery. Now, the difference between hitting the lottery and being a pro athlete is that you do have to actually do something to make it as a pro athlete, as opposed to just buying a lottery ticket from 7-Eleven. You got to actually do some work and catch the football or tackle somebody or make a jump shot in order to make it as a professional athlete. But you are still hitting the lottery, because there are a lot of people out there who go to work every day. I mean, the same NBA and NFL players who make it, your mothers, fathers, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, they go to work every day the same way you go to work at the field or the gym. They go to work at the office or at the factory or at the computer, and they work hard too, just like you do, often for longer hours than you do as a pro athlete, and they don't get $10 million, but you got $10 million. So it's not like your work is that much harder than what anybody else is doing. And as a professional athlete, I've said this often, A hard day, a long day for a professional athlete is about 4 hours of work. You cannot push your body for more than 4 hours a day at the maximum speed or the maximum output level. It's just humanly, genetically impossible, biologically impossible. So a long day for a pro athlete is 4 hours of work. And a lot of pro athletes and or their fans who don't really understand the game, they will say things like, well, athletes have to work really hard and they got to do this, that, and the third to make it as athletes. I even have people on social media saying this to me because they don't know that my background is literally as a professional athlete and I had to knock down their bullshit. No, a professional athlete or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or Cristiano Ronaldo or Serena Williams or Tiger Woods, they are not working that much harder than the average everyday person who has a 9-to-5 job. They are not. They're actually probably working less than you. Their work is different from yours, and their work is more maybe highly valued than yours because of the industry that they're in, but they're not doing more work or harder work than you are. They just get paid more for it because, again, they've hit the lottery to be able to get paid more for the work that they do. And I'm giving that lottery parallel to help you all understand. This makes perfect sense when you understand a lot of athletes end up being broke not even several, but a few years after their careers end when the money stops. And why is this? It's because it's a lottery ticket. Because the lottery, again, changes somebody's financial trajectory without actually changing the foundational pieces of who they are as a person. It's the same thing that happens when you play sports. You're some guy in the hood who could run fast and jump high. Now you made it to the NFL. You're still that guy from the hood who can run fast and jump high. The only difference is now you're not in the hood. You're in the football facility and you're getting paid a whole bunch of money to be there, but you fundamentally have not changed as a person. And if you don't, and you go through your 10-year career in the NFL, now you're out of the NFL and the paychecks stop and you're still that same person. You still have that same mentality of the guy from the hood. You have not fundamentally grown. Even though you have a whole lot more money, you will shrink back to being the person that you were before financially because the money's not coming in anymore to prop up the personal development that you haven't done. You're going to go right back to the position you were in before. This is the reason why a lot of athletes go broke. Everybody understand this? So let me ask this question. Why do you think people who run athletic enterprises, on the flip side of this, people who are not black, people who run athletic enterprises, let's say the owner of a football team and the owner of your favorite basketball team, why do they continue to push for young black men to become athletes? Why do they want young black men to become athletes? Well, one reason is you're under the control of whoever runs that organization when you're the pro athlete. When you're the athlete and I own the team, I have you under contract, which means basically if you want to work, you got to do whatever rules I set forth and I'm making money off your behavior. You got to follow my rules. You got to say the right things. You got to avoid saying the wrong things. Otherwise, the very money that made you somebody can be taken away from you. Now, I can take you from being somebody to being nobody with a stroke of a pen. A good example of this is what happened with NBA player Kyrie Irving. Years ago, this is maybe 2000, what year was this? Probably 2021. He posted a link to a documentary. That documentary that was called, what was it called? I can't remember the name of the documentary, but it was some black guy who made this documentary where he was making the argument that black people are the true Jews of the world, that what we consider to be a Jewish person is not actually a Jewish person. The actual Jews, the original Jews, are actually black people. This guy's documentary was making this claim. And Kyrie Irving posted a link, an Amazon link, to the documentary on his social media. He did not leave any commentary. He didn't say what he thought about it. He just posted a link to the documentary, and the Jewish community, those who most people recognize as Jewish, went batshit crazy over this. And Kyrie Irving basically was essentially tarred and feathered and dragged through the town square of the United States and the NBA and New York, because at the time he played in Brooklyn. And he was forced to apologize in order to get his job back and to continue making money as a professional athlete. He was basically told that if you don't come out and make amends for the wrong that you've done by posting a link to this documentary that a lot of people disagree with, specifically Jewish people disagree with, you will not be able to make money playing your sport anymore. Now, I believe that Kyrie Irving probably wanted to say to the people who told him that, hey, kiss my ass. This is a documentary that I enjoyed and I can post a link to it if I want. I didn't even leave any commentary. You're telling me what I got to do and how I got to make amends to people for all of this. Fuck you. I'm not doing it. I think Kyrie Irving probably wanted to say that, but had he said that, Kyrie Irving would no longer be Kyrie Irving, because the one thing that makes him who he is his ability to go and make money as a basketball player. The NBA said, we're going to take that away from you unless you do what we tell you to do. This is what happens when you work for someone else. And professional athletes, in case any of you didn't know, they work for someone else. All right, they are not independent as they appear to be, at least the team sport players. And that's why I'm focusing specifically on basketball and football players. Another example of this is what happened with a lot of athletes during the COVID situation, where players were told that they had to take the jab, most of them take the jab, or you couldn't go to work and you couldn't make money. Now, what if you didn't want to take the jab? Okay, give up your job. Give up the one thing that makes you who you are. Because again, what else do you have that will allow you to earn the same amount of money in a professional space other than playing football or playing basketball? For most football and basketball players, the answer is nothing. So you have no choice but to do what you're told. So these players couldn't go to work and make money, and many athletes at the professional level do not have much to offer by way of skills where they can make anywhere close to the money that they earn as athletes. So even though they're getting paid a lot to play their sport, they are highly controlled. They're under somebody else's control because somebody else controls the money. See, if you are impressed by an athlete who makes X number of dollars that you can find on Google, whatever their contract is, ask yourself, who's the owner of the team that they play for? Because the owner of the team that they play for is not only paying that player's salary, but also the salary of all the other players on the team, and they still have money left over. How much money does that person have? That's the person you should be looking at. Not the employee who's making a whole bunch of money, but the person who is paying the employees, because they pay all the employees and they still have money after they get done paying all the employees. How much money is that? That's the person you should be paying attention to. And again, many pro athletes could not replace their athletic income doing something else, or even come close to replacing their athletic income, even half of their athletic income, by doing anything else. Because remember, they became pro athletes right out of, sometimes getting out of college before they even finished college. So they haven't had time to develop any other professional skill. So even though they're getting a lot to play their sport, they're highly under somebody else's control, and playing their sport is the only way of getting close to that level of accomplishment and return on investment. So this was encapsulated in a book. A guy named William Rodin wrote a book called $40 Million Slaves several years ago. You can look this book up on Amazon and read up on it on your own. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the 3 socially accepted black men. So the first one was the athlete. The second one, you should be able to guess this one, the entertainer. Now, sports is a form of entertainment, but I'm talking about the non-sport entertainers. These are your rappers, actors, singers, movie stars, etc. Now, there are several parallels between these people and the professional athletes. And again, we're talking specifically about black males. These people often come from maybe a bit higher level of a background than the athletes. So many of them you may see coming from lower middle class or even solid middle class backgrounds. And again, I'm generalizing on this, because there are a lot of people from different backgrounds who end up making it in these spaces, same way as in the athletic space. These people, by the same token, could not make the same money any other way than making it as an entertainer. And making it as an entertainer, any of you who knows the entertainment space knows that this is just as much hitting the lottery as it is being a pro athlete. Maybe you have a little bit more chance simply because there's not a cap on how many people can play. In the NFL, there's a cap on how many total players can be in the league, because every team has a roster limit. In the NBA, the exact same thing. Same thing with baseball, same thing with hockey. And entertainment, for it, on the other hand, there is no limit to how many people could technically have a SAG card and actually be an actor. It's not a limit to how many people can put an album out or be a rapper or do a show. As many people as want to do it can do it. Doesn't mean everybody's gonna make any money doing it, but you can try. If you're trying to be a basketball player, there's only so many people who can play for the Boston Celtics before the Celtics say, hey, we have no more job openings based on the rules. We cannot offer anyone else a job. Even if you're good enough to be on the team, we don't have another roster spot for you, so you can't play. Again, different in the entertainment space where there are no limits to roster spots. But similarly, these people, again, usually couldn't make their money any other way. And their ability to continue generating an income is often, not always, but often based around following certain rules, saying the right things and not saying the wrong things, under penalty of losing their access to their main means of income. If you want to see an example of this, there are many of them, but let's give you one that all of you are familiar with. Look at what they tried to do or have successfully done, depending on who you ask, to rapper Kanye West. Rapper, producer, entertainer, MAGA supporter, what else is he? Whatever else you want to name, label this guy. Fashion designer, Kanye West. When he started saying some of the wrong things about the wrong people, or the right things about the wrong people, when he started doing that, what'd they do? All right, they pulled the platform out from underneath his feet. Same thing that happened with comedian Dave Chappelle many years ago. It took a long time for him to get back to the status that he was enjoying during the time of his very popular Chappelle's show that was on Comedy Central. He disappeared for a while. Then he came back. Interesting little anecdote that around 2000 and maybe like 2010, 2011, this is while he was still kind of in his what do you want to call it, his hiatus, kind of being out of the spotlight. Dave Chappelle, I was in a boxing gym in Miami Beach, It's called 5th Street Boxing Gym, and they've changed the location since then. It still exists, but it's in a different location now than where it was at the time. I was at 5th Street Boxing Gym doing a boxing workout with a trainer who had invited me to work out. And there were some kids in there getting trained, like young kids, maybe 6 or 7 years old. And their father came to the gym to come pick them up. And when the father came to pick the kids up, the trainer who had the kids doing some drills start having the dad do the drills too. And he's going back and forth doing the drills. And the dad was Dave Chappelle. And it was Dave Chappelle. It's about 2010, 2011. So he's running back and forth in the gym doing these drills that his kids were doing, and when he was coming to pick up his kids. And Dave Chappelle had been pretty quiet at that in that time frame. But anyway, Dave Chappelle, another guy who, again, when he decided to go against the grain with whatever he had done, I don't even know if we know exactly what he had did, if he did anything wrong, or he just decided to get away, or maybe something that he never talked about. It took a long time for him to get back to where he was. And this is what happens when you're an entertainer. Even though entertainers are not signed to a team like the New York Knicks, there's still some people who pull the strings and basically control who's in and who's out in that industry. So in that industry, you still have to follow some rules. And again, who's controlling this industry? Who is pulling the strings? Who decides who gets paid, who gets chosen, and who's out? Who decides that? And remember, today's topic is about the 3 socially accepted black men. Whatever your answer, I guarantee you the answer is not black people. Now, it ain't black people controlling it. It's somebody who ain't black controlling the situation. Yet, the people who are running that industry, they will do a lot of promotional work with the help of black people that they are working with to show the bright, shiny object of being that celebrity entertainer. And that's why it's a great career aspiration for you. In other words, people who run the sports industry and the people who run the entertainment industry, and when I say run it, I don't mean the most popular ones. I mean the people who actually control the most popular ones, the ones who pay the checks to the ones who you think are popular and the ones you think are the biggest. Whatever amount of money they're making, again, ask yourself, who has the money to pay them and their teammates? That's the person with the money. It's not the person receiving the money, it's the person writing the check. Always keep that in mind, no matter what color you are. Those people who are writing the checks, they are showing you that you should try to get into this industry too, because look how great life is for Steph Curry. Look how great life is for Dave Chappelle. Look how great things are for Beyonce, or whoever the person is. We're talking about black men here, or let's just say Jay-Z, Beyonce's husband. They want to show you that this is a great career for you. Look at all the attention, look at the fame, look at the money. You should try to win this lottery ticket too. Now, why do they care? Because if 100 of you buy into that idea and try to make it, well, 10 out of the 100 of you will make it. And guess what they're going to do? Make money off you too. So they want more people coming in. Good news is they don't have to do that much promotion because we tend to promote it to ourselves. We tend to promote this to each other. All right, and this is why I said the 3 socially accepted black men. I'm not saying this as a condemnation of white people or Jewish people or any other group that you think is in control of things. I'm saying this as black people have bought into this. We sell it to each other. We recycle the system by selling it to other people. Well, look how successful Jay-Z is. Who are you to question Jay-Z? He's successful. He has a bunch of money. Must mean whatever he says is right. There are black people who talk like this. It's not a white person putting those words in our mouths. We talk like this to each other. So again, I'm not putting this on anybody else. If you are new around here, understand personal accountability is a big deal here. All right. We bring the conversation always back to the person in the mirror, regardless of who or what we're talking about. So the people running the industry tell you should go for this. Now, while they are not technically lying, I mean, does LeBron James make a lot of money? According to what we see on Google, he does. But they're also not telling you the whole truth. Here's what they're not telling you. There are strings attached to all of this, and those strings are not controlled by the person who looks like they're living it up. Because once you get in, it's hard to get out. I've already explained this to you. If you have no other way of replacing your income, you pretty much got to do what the people who control your income are telling you to do, even if you don't want to do it. If you build a reputation, for example, as a rich entertainer, you're a rich rapper, you live a certain lifestyle, and you have created a certain image around this, around these things that you talk about, or these things that you show in your pictures or in your videos or on your social media. And again, this is encouraged for you to do this by the people who are writing you checks, because they say those will help build your brand image. It'll make people aspire to want to be you and look up to you. Look at somebody like P. Diddy. By the time you hear this, his trial may have concluded. I'm recording this as the trial is still in progress. Look at someone like P. Diddy. He created the image of this rapper who's not going to be the gangster rapper going and killing everybody and selling all the drugs in the world. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to be is the rapper with the same energy as those guys. But instead of talking about that, I'm going to talk about how I wear these fashion designer clothes and how I got all the girls and how I wear this cologne that makes me smell good. And I got these beautiful cars and beautiful houses, and I got champagne bottles every time you see me. And I'm just the flashy, cool guy that everybody wants to be around. When you create an image like that, well, here's what you got to do. You got to live up to that image. Now you got to keep being that guy. Now, what if the people in your industry say, okay, Mr. Rich Rapper, you created that image. You told everybody you're this rich rapper. Now, here's the thing we need you to do. And you say, well, I don't want to do that thing. And they say, okay, if you don't do it, then we're going to turn off the faucet that's paying you all the money that allows you to live this rich rapper lifestyle. And now you got to keep living up that lifestyle because that's what you sold to the public. But now you don't have the money to do it anymore. What are you going to do? Now your whole career will go down the drain if you don't keep having that money coming in. So guess what? You better do what we told you to do. This is when you start selling your soul and selling your integrity. Everybody understand this? This is what happens. This is how it works. And it's worse in the entertainment industry than it is in the sports industry, simply because the entertainment industry is highly subjective as compared to the sports world. The sports world is very objective because you have to actually be able to make the ball go in the basket when you play basketball. All right, I could love you as the owner of the team, but if you can't put the ball in the basket, I can't sell my fan base on you being on the roster because you can't fucking play. But in the entertainment space, you could have very little talent and I can sell you to the world as somebody who should be listened to because entertainment is very subjective. Beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. So I can sell you that Cardi B is an entertainer that you should listen to, even though she has very little talent. And many others. I'm using her as an example because all of you know who she is, but she ain't the only one. I can sell you on that, but if Cardi B was playing basketball, the Cardi B equivalent of a basketball player, she wouldn't make it past LA Fitness. Why? Because she couldn't play. See, in sports, you can't do that. In entertainment, you can. So entertainment is worse, but it can happen in both spaces where you get told you have to do a certain thing in order to keep the money coming in. Again, the Kyrie Irving situation. Are you going to go back to a life of not having those things and the world wondering what happened to you? Now your reputation is damaged and you can't sell the same image that you were selling before. A lot of things in the entertainment industry are sold on image, not sold on substance. See, this is the hook that they don't tell you about when they're dangling the bait. Any of you who knows how to fish, you understand this. That you fool the fish into thinking they're getting the easy meal, but it's you who has the last laugh. Same thing that happens in the entertainment space. And point number 3, today's topic, once again, are the 3 socially accepted black men. So we got the athlete, we got the entertainer. Number 3 accepted black man is the clown. The clown. Now, sometimes the athlete can be the clown. Sometimes, not all the time, because you have to actually be good in sports to make it. At some point, you got to be good at the thing in sports. In entertainment, you don't have to be good. Entertainers, most clowns, this is point number 3, most of the clowns usually come from the entertainment space. They call themselves entertainers when they're actually just clowns. Now, a subset of the entertainer is this group. This is the person who may or may not have any real talent. Let's use Cardi B as an example here. So Cardi B, if you hear this is not a personal diss of you, but if you take it as a personal diss, and so the fuck what? Doesn't have any real talent. But we will give them the benefit of the doubt in saying that they can make people laugh or they can keep people's attention in some way, shape, or form. All right, that is a talent. Being able to hook and keep a person's attention is a thing. I mean, the circus is a thing. And any of you ever took your kids to the circus? Was it free? No, you had to pay for it. You had to pay for the ticket to go to the circus to have your attention held by somebody doing something. Any of you ever hired a clown to come to your kid's birthday party? Yes. Was it free? No, the clown was paid. So clowns can make money. Okay, so when I say clown, you may take it as me using it as a pejorative, but I'm kind of not. I'm actually giving them credit at the same time. Clown is a person who might not have talent, but they can get people's attention. And this is not necessarily, when I say the clown, I'm not talking about a comedian when I say a clown. No, some comedians are actually really good. Like Dave Chappelle is a very good comedian, stand-up comedian. He's not a clown. Now, there are some comedians who could actually be clowns. Let me see if I can think of one. None coming off the top of my head. But continuing. Doing comedy is an actual skill, so I don't mean comedians when I say clown. In general, being a comedian takes practice, planning, discipline. But any of you ever tried standing on the stage, for example, but any of you tried standing on the stage and keeping the audience's attention on any subject for an hour, and let alone keeping them laughing for an hour? That's a real skill. So I'm not talking about comedians. I'm talking about the people who turn themselves into sideshows because they have no other means of drawing attention from an audience of people. So any of you remember the TV show The Simpsons? There was a guy named Sideshow Bob. His literal name on the show was Sideshow Bob. And Sideshow Bob was a court jester. He was a clown. Now, there was another clown on there. I believe his name was Krusty the Clown. He was literally a clown. Sideshow Bob was a clown too. His whole thing was being a sideshow. Let me just do some things that divert the audience's attention and allows them to turn their brains off for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 2 hours, and I will entertain them. All right, this is in the black world, these people are often called the shucking and jiving, or the tap dancers, where you would get paid by white people to shuck and jive and tap dance and basically make a fool of yourself for the entertainment of white people in a pejorative, demeaning type of way. and black people will say this, will use this term against other black people to this very day, if you really, when they strongly disagree with something that you're doing or saying or believing, or allegedly believing. So back in the days, there was a TV show called Showtime at the Apollo. It was based in Harlem, New York. And many of you remember Showtime at the Apollo. And Showtime at the Apollo was basically a talent show for adults. That's what it was. A bunch of singers, dancers, comedians would get a chance to go on stage and do a performance for a few minutes in front of a live theater audience at a place called the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York. Now, if you succeeded and were able to get through your entire performance, such as singing a song or doing comedy, then it was basically a win for you. It was like a feather in your cap that you went on the Apollo and just went out there cold, you performed, and the audience liked you. If the audience did not like you, then the audience was allowed to openly let you know by booing you. They would literally boo you off the stage and say that you weren't good. Now, if you're getting booed too much during your performance at the Apollo, there was a guy who would come out, and he was a clown. His name was Sandman Sims, the Sandman. Sandman Sims would come out, and Sandman Sims would shoo you off the stage, and then he would do a little dance, the buck dance, a little shucking and jiving dance. And he was a throwback to back in the days when black people used to do this for money for entertainment of white people. Sandman Sims was a clown. He was a court jester. Right? And he would do a little dance for the entertainment of the crowd, and then he would run off stage, and then the next performer would come out, and we would go through the same process all over again. The Sandman was a clown. That's an example that I'm giving you. These days, you have a lot more clowns, and a lot of them are in the media space, from podcasters to YouTubers to live streamers, even musicians and entertainers who are clowns, who do not actually have the talent to really be in those spaces, but because they are entertaining clowns, someone pays them to keep doing it. All right, that's it. Because attention is currency in today's world. If you can keep people's attention, you can get paid somehow, some way. So there are plenty of people out there, live streamers, YouTubers, podcasters, who don't have any real substance, but they're entertaining, and that entertainment is enough for them to make some money. And again, think of what you are dealing with in front of what are you doing, in front of the eyes when you turn a clown into a celebrity. You are telling, especially a black person who's a clown, you're telling other young black people that if you would just be a clown, you could become as successful as the clown that they're looking at. So when you have artists making songs called Wet Ass Pussy, now these are females, two females making a song called Wet Ass Pussy, what are they saying to other young ladies? That, hey, you don't really have to have any musical talent. You just come out and say raunchy things that would shock people for shock value. You can get a whole lot of money and be very popular just because you did that thing. And if you have yourself propped up on that pedestal for long enough, you begin to think that you actually have real substance, and your fans truly believe that you have substance. So if someone like myself comes out and says these people have no substance and they're clowns, then people are going to attack me for saying, well, why are you attacking this successful person? And they have all this money, they have these followers, and they did this, and you're hating. This is the poison that we sent through our communities because we continue to prop up these clowns. And again, this is not on the people who paid them. This is on the people who took the money and the fans who buy into this nonsense. So when you have rappers who can't really rap, entertainers who can't really act or don't have any real skills, but they are celebrities getting paid a whole bunch of money, you are telling me and people and other people that you don't actually have to develop any real abilities, and you could possibly become them. You could become a celebrity too. You don't even have to have talent. See, at least we used to think you had to have talent to be good. Now you don't have to have talent. Now you just got to be entertaining. And again, who's pushing the buttons and deciding to pay these fools? I'll tell you again, something that you already know. It ain't black people. Who's doing it? And why are we accepting it? That's the question you really need to be asking. But I'll let you sit on that while we recap today's topic, which is the 3 socially accepted black men. Again, this has long been an issue in the black community. Number 1 is the athlete. We know who the athlete is. They can run fast, jump high, they can catch a ball, they can dunk a basketball, whatever it is that they're doing. But understand athletes are employees and they have to follow the rules. You want to see an example of what happens to an athlete who doesn't follow the rules or breaks a rule that they didn't even know they were breaking? See what happened to Kyrie Irving. Number 2, the entertainer. These are your rappers, actors, singers, movie stars, etc. Even though they have more independence to move about than the athlete does, the entertainment industry is still controlled by a group of people who can tell them what to do and what not to do. You see a black man showing up wearing makeup and a dress on camera, and you ask yourself, why does this seem to happen so often to black men? Is because the people who run the industry eventually say to them, put that dress on, and if you don't put that dress on, we're going to cut off your source of money. How are you going to replace that money? And if you can't answer the question, now you got a choice to make. The third one is the clown. All right, this is the person who has no real talent, no real abilities in anything, but because they can entertain an audience of people who are increasingly looking for diversions and entertainment, increasingly looking for things to take them off of any level of focus because they don't want to have any in the first place. And we have more and more of those people these days who are drifting, as we say. Then the entertainer becomes more popular. All right? Being a court jester or being a clown can be a high paying job these days. Even for those of you who haven't gotten into it yet, there is money to be made in being a clown. And it's not about whether the money is, not about even so much an existential question of if the money is worth it or not. It's just, are you willing to trade your integrity for the money? And there's a lot of people, not in the sports world, but entertainers and clowns, a lot of them are willing to trade their integrity for money because they would never be able to make anywhere close to that money doing anything else, because these are people who often have very little substance. These are the 3 socially accepted black men. You think about what that means, especially if you're black, especially if you have black male children who you're raising in this world. They need to understand this and understand what their other options may be. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about a flip side of this, and I'll let you wait till tomorrow to find out what that is. But between now and then, workonyourgameuniversity.com, work with me directly, get into our circle group coaching program. You want to work with me directly in our full program, we got options for that too. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all